Welcome to Born for the Trades, a home service podcast. I'm your host, Mandeep Pala, and sitting next to Shreya, my co-host.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. Today, we have amazing guest on our podcast, and his name is Russell Furr. Joining us today, a remarkable entrepreneur in the trades industry. Russell's trade industry began at the age of 16 when he left high school to pursue hands-on work. From landscaping to plumbing, he excelled in the service trade of the industry. Russell established and successfully sold his own company, Culpeper Home Services, which reached 4 million in revenue. Now he has launched RTF LandWorks, an excavation company dedicated to his father and son. Russell's achievements and experiences are truly inspiring. Welcome, Russell, to our show.
Hey, thanks, Mandeep and Shreya. Thanks for having me on.
Join us as we dive deep into the world of home service entrepreneurship, interacting with industry leaders, coaches, and entrepreneurs about their experiences, challenges, and victories. Through their inspiring stories, we hope to equip our listeners with the tools and knowledge they need to succeed in the competitive home service industry. So whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, tune in to Born for the Trades podcast for invaluable insight and real-world inspiration.
I met Russell, I think for the first time, I think it was last year, right? 2022 in Virginia when we were visiting our client and we were just friends on Facebook. The vibes, the positive energy and the helpful nature that you have, Russell, that you are, giving your hands to everyone in the trades, which is phenomenal. And that's how we got connected. And we met at your favorite restaurant. And here we go, we are friends and proud to have a friend like you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mandeep. I appreciate it, man.
Awesome. Let's get started. Yeah, sure, you can go.
I caught in the title. I wanted to just take it out. I caught it in what you said about him, his bio. And can you tell us more about leaving high school at 16 and entering the trades at that age?
Yeah. Let me think for a second. I actually left high school at 15, but it wasn't until 16 that I had my driver's license that I could actually have a job. So that's why I kind of got my start at 16 years old. But I remember being in school, man, and just like failing everything. I mean, from the time I was in like 7th grade and 8th grade, it was just, I was a bad student, got in trouble all the time, made bad grades, that sort of thing. Just didn't want to be there.
D's and F's. I get that.
Yeah, D's would have been a stretch, more like F's. The funny thing is I failed weightlifting. I'd go in there and just sleep on the weight benches.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
But I remember just being ready to go to work. I remember being like 14, 15 years old, man, and just being ready to go to work. I was like, I just want to get to work, because I was like, I'm not going to college. I knew that, I have my whole family's mechanics. I come from blue collar roots, and I knew I wasn't going to college. So I was like, look, I'm wasting time in school. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to just be launched out of this cannon, and I don't want to waste the next 3 or 4 years of my life or whatever it was. I'm ready to just, to call it quits. My mom finally let me quit after I'd gotten suspended for like the 3rd time and like the first 2 months of school in my 9th grade. No, it was my sophomore, which I call my freshmore because I never actually passed the 9th grade. So it was like my second freshman year, and that's just how that happened. She's like, all right, well, you're getting your GED. I said, all right, well, that's fine, So I went to this, school for, people who screw up in life. And I went there and spent the next handful of months getting my GED. And then I turned 16 in December. And then right after that, I was ready to go, man. And I started being a landscape helper in Northern Virginia. I remember I was driving this old 66 Mustang, man, up 95, like, because I lived down in, I was like an hour and a half south of Northern Virginia.
You were born for the trades. You were born for the trades. And I'm excited, what are you doing now? But I think we will get to that point. But what motivated you to transition from landscaping to plumbing and eventually focus on, service side of the industry, like HVAC, plumbing, electrical, everything you did? So,
so I was just looking for a job. So I found a job, landscaping. So that's just what I did. It's like, I just needed a job. So, kind of just fell into, we fall into things in life. I don't think, probably not a lot of people wake up and say, I want to be a plumber. You kind of just fall into it,
Right.
Right.
So I did the landscaping thing for like a year. And then a buddy of mine reached out, said, "Hey, we got a position open up, for a plumber's helper." And it was all the way in Alexandria. And I was like, "Sweet, let's do it." And it was a little bit more money. I was making like $7 an hour, so I think it was paid like 8. And we're talking 1999. It's a long time ago. And
Wow.
uh, and so I took the opportunity, man, and started off, digging and in the sewer ditches and whatnot, breaking up floors with jackhammers and all that stuff. But once I got an opportunity in service, I really took the service. I really enjoyed it, uh, uh, and just kind of went from there with my career, man.
That's amazing. That's amazing. The way that you started, like, you have like amazing story from starting from landscaping. And I think you started with plumbing. You added electrical HVAC later, right?
Correct. I'm a plumber by trade my entire career until I got to the end of 2017. I was working for a Nexstar company, and being a top producer in plumbing, they were like, "Hey, you should try your hand at HVAC sales." And I was trying to move up in the company anyways, because when a tradesman is approaching 40, he's thinking about what's next in life. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I've been
Right.
doing this for 20 years or more, whatever, and what's next? So I was kind of at that point, like, I don't want to be out here turning wrenches the rest of my life. Like, where's the next step of my career? This was 2017. So I went into HVAC sales, and I didn't hardly know anything about HVAC. I taught myself everything, to do that. And I did that for a year, about a year. And then I started my company in 2018.
That
What
is
was the
awesome.
transition from selling to starting your company? Like, how did you transition?
Transition from what exactly? Be a little more specific.
Yeah, from selling in the field and doing service to starting Culpeper.
Well, I live in a rural area, and it was really, really simple because I was working in Northern Virginia, which is a more established market. You know what I'm saying? And so down in Culpeper, it was still like jeans and t-shirts and paper invoices and a
Hmm.
3.6 star on Google. And that's
Yeah.
just what it was like. And I knew what I could do in the field because
Right.
done it. I've done it forever. I was always number one in reviews, revenue, membership sales. I mean, you give me a goal and I'm going to crush it, especially if you put me in like a competition with the other technicians, crush it every single time. So all I had to do was do what I was already doing, just down in my hometown, where no one else was doing it. It was a completely new business model, and it was super simple.
That's mhm.
It was like low hanging fruit. It was easy.
Right. Right. I think when I met you, I think last year, we made a like, one short video. And when I asked you, like, one piece of advice, if you want to give it to, home service industry owners, you said that it's all about people, right? And you want to share that, like, thought one more time, what you take on people, like your team and clients, if you want to
Well,
share.
absolutely. Well, yeah, no business is successful without people. You're never going to have a successful business if you're on an island all by yourself. You got to have a great team around you, and you have to have great customers. But you create great customers by the way you treat them. Not everyone's a great customer. You create the great customer by your relationship with them. That's what kind of fosters that sort of, relationship. So that's really what it takes. And you can't have a successful business without those two elements.
See, that's the difference between like an expert and maybe somebody just starting that's not an expert or an entrepreneurial mindset is there's two things. How you saw that market, that Culpeper market, as an opportunity. Because nobody else is doing it, that just means I'm going to be the best one, right? When, I mean, you wouldn't believe how many people that's actually the excuse on, no, we can't scale and we can't grow and we can't do things differently because in this town, they don't do it like that. Exactly, right? You're at an advantage sort of thing.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like, I think they call that like a blue water scenario or something like that.
Yeah,
It's like, where,
Blue Ocean,
there's, yeah, blue ocean. There you
blue
go.
ocean, yeah.
Yeah,
Blue
blue
Ocean
ocean.
strat. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. So
and I think i I was always thinking that it seems that you had planned out your exit way in advance. Like, was it intentional that you planned out, like, you want to exit at this age, like very early age you sold it? Like, was it intentional?
it was absolutely intentional, man, from almost day one. Uh, you know, Everyone in this industry, especially the past 5 years, constantly get letters from people seemingly wanting to buy your business. Really, they're just kind of fishing to see if you're a good fit, you know. But I would book every single one of those calls, every single one of those letters I would get in the mail, or, whatever, I would book a call, and I did that for like 2 or 3 years leading up to my exit, because number one, it allowed me to learn. And that was the biggest thing for me. It was like, I need to learn what I need to be doing. I need to form relationships. I just need to get it out there, So that's what I did is I took advantage of that. I saw it as an opportunity, every single time. Whereas most people just toss them in the trash, even though they're, thinking maybe they might want to sell or whatever. I tell people all the time, book those calls if and use it as a learning opportunity.
That's amazing. I'm really proud of you, what you have done. And I think short span, like, was it like, 3 years or 4 years?
It was 4 years, I think. It was 18 to 22. Yeah.
Okay. What was the game changer, like, from zero to hero, from, I'm saying like 0 to 4 million? How did you do that?
Just taking advantage of the insane momentum that the business had from day one and not letting it die off. You got to feed it.
Right.
It's like a hungry furnace. You got to just feed it and feed it and feed it. So that's what I did, and the economy was ripe for it. The economy was perfect, and everything just kind of aligned where I was able to, just kind of ride the wave, so to speak. And then when I saw that wave starting to crash, you know, I saw what people are living through right now. I saw that coming, from a mile away, and that's why I timed it the way that I did.
Momentum. That
Momentum.
is a unique answer, but it's like the perfect answer for that. What does momentum look like in action for you guys?
It looks like when you've got great people coming in the door wanting to work for you, your call volume's off the hook. It's continually increasing month to month, and things are just growing. Things are just growing, and so you just feed it. It's like a plant. You water it, and you give it the nutrients that it needs, and it just grows and grows and grows.
Right. Instead of maybe like resting on your laurels, oh, we're doing so good now, let's just keep everything the same instead of getting 1% better and then, optimizing and capitalizing off of the momentum that we have now. That makes total
Absolutely.
sense.
Yeah.
And also just put myself out there. I was putting myself out there in my community, like, because that's just what it takes, because, customers are buying me in a sense, and I understood that.
Yes.
So I had to be like the face of the company and put myself out there and it's just what it
Right.
took.
Right. Right. And Russell, like, to be very honest, like, I had this assumption. Russell has sold this company. Now he's taking time off. He got into photography. I thought you're gonna do something with photography. I had no idea that you're gonna be launching another venture, RTF LandWorks, right? Please tell us more about it.
So
What is-
RTF LandWorks, see, all right, we'll back up a little bit. So
Okay.
when I sold my business, right, I was like, sweet, I'm never gonna have to work again, this and that, whatever. I could just kind of piddle around and do whatever I want to do. Well, that's fine and all, but when you've been working your entire life and producing, then all of a sudden you wake up one day and you don't have to do that anymore. It's very, very different. It was very challenging for me, man. I was kind of like questioning like what I was doing with myself at times, like feeling depressed, like what direct like I felt like my life had no direction, no purpose, no meaning. For like 6 months, it was like that almost, and
Wow.
it was weird because I've never had depression before, but I definitely went through periods of it. It was very strange. But I've always liked working. I've always liked waking up early, getting out the door, going out and working hard, you know? And so I decided to buy an excavator and a truck and a trailer. And it's like, I'm going excavating, you know?
Right. Right. And I saw all your posts, right? You're doing something with your, like, you're busy with projects, like, your
Yeah.
house, like, you were digging out there. I was like, you got something there, but look at that now, RTF LandWorks. Like, what's your plan with that? Like, what do you see yourself with RTF LandWorks in future?
Yeah. So, and I named it RTF LandWorks because it's dedicated to the men in my family, the hardworking men in my family that have made me what I am in a sense. My grandfather, like I said, everyone's mechanics in my family. And I'm not talking like changing oil at Jiffy Lube mechanics. I'm talking about heavy equipment mechanics.
Heavy.
Like my family
Right.
works hard, man. Like working outside in the pouring down rain, changing truck tires, like that sort of stuff. Like, so my grandfather, he worked his butt off. He's now retired. my dad has worked his butt off like that since he's 15 years old. Um, and then my son, he's 11 years old, but they all share the RTF initials. They're all RTFs. So that's
Love
why
it.
I named it RTF, because I want to give my dad a place to retire. You know, he knows how to operate equipment. He's got his own, excavator and dump truck. And he's been talking about starting an excavation company for the past few years since I started my business. And he's not a business guy. He would probably never do it if it weren't, if it were left up to him. So I'm going to start it and I'm going to get this thing going. And then hopefully within about a year or so, I can bring him on board, and then my son can come up in the business, learning how to operate
Amazing.
equipment, how to work hard and all that stuff. So that's kind of the vision for it.
So
Amazing.
this is a legacy company. This is
Yes.
like wow, this is probably, do you feel like this has a different theme to it than Culpeper did? And if
Yeah,
so, what is it?
definitely. It definitely has a different feeling to it. It feels more personal to me because the plumbing business was something that I wanted to sell. That was basically built to sell. That was just a stepping stone for me. And I always knew that. I always knew it was a stepping stone into something else. So this one definitely feels more personal and feels a lot different.
Amazing. I know like how it feels to like, start like, from, company from scratch. Like you have that experience from Culpeper. So do you see any challenge right now, like with your RTF LandWorks? Like, are you seeing any challenges or you have already overcome?
The only challenge is really just getting my name known, getting my name known, which is the same challenge I faced with the plumbing company. But I've been officially kind of in business for like a week, and I've already ran like 6 estimates. I sold my first job today.
Congrats. That is
Thanks, man.
amazing.
Yeah.
Today?
Yeah,
Today.
today I sold my first job.
Perfect.
So I was so
Awesome.
excited, man. It was awesome. It was so cool. So I'm taking my son. We're gonna do that job next week, because it's been raining like crazy. So we can't do it till
What a
next
great
week after
feeling.
it dries up.
What a
Yeah.
great feeling, right?
Yep. It's totally cool, man.
What's your process when you run an estimate with RTF?
Man,
What's that like?
it's the same thing as a plumber. It's the same thing. Hey, is the truck parked okay? Personal connection, building options, the whole thing. It's just excavation instead of plumbing. It's all the same thing.
How do you make that personal to that client on your appointment?
Well, first of all, when you're pulling to the house, you're looking around for things that you could have some relation with them over. Maybe they've got a bass boat or something in the driveway, or they got a cool truck in the driveway, or the yard looks amazing. And there's so many things, there's so much data you can collect before you even step on the front door. And that's what I do, is I sit there and it's time to collect data. What are we looking at? And you just, hey, that's a cool boat outside, man. What, do you go fishing? Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, my buddies, we go fishing, this and that. Oh, you just create conversation, and you're not there. What I like to say is, this is what I used to tell my technicians: the reason why you've been called to that house is the least important reason you're there.
Right.
Right. Right. Right.
And it's true. It's true, because
That's true.
anybody can fix the plumbing. It's not about the plumbing. Anybody can do that. I used to Google plumbers in Culpeper in meetings, and I would show the Google map of 20 choices up there, and I'd say, why are they calling us? What makes us different? Because they can call any of these other options out here in the marketplace, and we're probably 2 or 3 times more expensive than everyone else that's out there. Why are they calling us? And I'd create
Right.
exercises out of it. And have them create lists of why they're calling us versus these other people.
Right.
And,
Right.
when you read through reviews of companies, very rarely do they ever say, hey, the plumbing was amazing, the way he joined the pipe and connected the valve, and he left the
Right.
valve
See,
in a
right.
way where I can turn the valve and not hit the expansion tank. Customers don't know about any of that stuff. They don't
Right.
know what any of that means. It's all about, he pulled up, parked on the street, wore shoe covers when he entered the door, chit chat with me about whatever, and play with my dog. Those are the things that customers care about, and those are the things that I would hammer into my technicians. Is that it's everything. The things that are important are the reasons that we're not there for, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
one thing I used to love doing in the field was I used to love adjusting customer storm doors on their front door, because what'll happen is they'll have Home Depot or Lowe's come out, put a new storm door on the front of their house.
Right.
But the crappy installers don't adjust the strut. So when you open the door and let off, the thing slams and rattles the windows in the house. Okay.
Right.
Well, a couple things with that. Customers don't know how easy it is to fix that, number one. Number two, if I've got to sit here and I'm coming and going through the front door and I've got to gently close the door every time I go through it, it's slowing me down. Number
Mhm.
three, I got my screwdrivers right here in my tool bag. I'm pulling it out and I'm adjusting the strut on that door, and I'm opening and closing it 100 times just to make sure it closes just right, just perfect. Put my screwdriver away and boom, now I'm in and out, in and out, in and out, and it's not slowing me down, and the customer's happy.
Absolutely. No, thanks for sharing that. And I know I still remember that we discussed one more thing when we met. Knowing your numbers is the way to go and crush it. Knowing your numbers,
Absolutely.
like, you know, for the company owners. So you want to share some insights like about gross, net, like, you know, people are confused about like how much they make. It's about making the net, right? So you want to share about the numbers, your key takeaways on those, so that, you know, home service industry owners can apply right away.
Absolutely. There's too many people out there are making decisions without knowing their numbers. They're adding overhead, they're doing whatever, and they don't even know their labor costs are. They don't even check their financials, and there's so much bad bookkeeping out there that it's hard to just tell someone to know their numbers, because if you have garbage data, it doesn't do anything for you. So,
Right.
it's a very difficult situation, but there's one bookkeeper I've always leaned on, and that's Cheryl Lanahan at Plumbook.
I love
I
her.
found her. Oh man, I
Love her.
found her like almost from day one in business. Actually, not day one. I went through like 3 bookkeepers prior to finding her, but once I found her, it was only a few months in. She was awesome. I got my stuff on point, dialed in. So you got to make sure you have good bookkeeping. Number one, that is crucial. You got to well, look, we're not bookkeepers. Pay someone to do your books. It's not,
Right.
Right.
it's
Hire a
pay someone to do.
professional.
Exactly.
And then
And
you
make
could
sure that's
focus on what you do best.
exactly,
Yeah.
and then you have good data to look at when you need to make business decisions. But the biggest thing out there is to make sure your direct labor is broken out from your overhead labor. When you start a QuickBooks file on a company, it just puts all the labor down there in the overhead section, and it's all just mixed together. It's just this
Right.
generic chart of accounts. The most important thing is to customize your chart of accounts to fit your business model. It's so important. So break out your direct labor. That goes up into the into the direct expenses above the line, they say, on your income statement, and your overhead labor is below the line, because that's overhead. And what
Right.
that allows you to do is that allows you to judge your direct cost, and being able to judge your labor cost and your material cost are your direct levers to pull to adjust your profitability, because your overhead doesn't really change month to month. Your direct expenses will, and you got to know what those are so you can make adjustments and change on the fly when you need to.
Right. No, I think that's
Perfect.
definitely helpful. I want to ask one more thing. What percentage do you think that, you know, business owners should keep it, like, you know, for the business to invest back in the business, not just like, you know, taking out and paying yourself? So what percentage, what's the number looks like
You
to keep
know,
it in the business? Yeah.
you know, I don't know if you can really say percentage, just because, if you have a $10 million business and you're taking 10%, you might not need all that. I don't know. I just feel like, you got to leave enough in the business. You got to, you know, the problem is a lot of guys out there bleed their company, and that's the problem, you know, and you just got to have discipline and not bleed your company dry. You know, I mean, I took a modest salary and then took bonuses based, how profitable the company was, basically is what I
Right.
did,
That's perfect. Performance based on
exactly.
how you're scaling the company, just like we do for our salespeople or technicians, is they're performance based so that they're more enticed to grow the business. That makes perfect sense.
Yep. To perform. Exactly.
Don't go fancy, and, you know, sometimes, you know, okay, I'm gonna buy a Lamborghini, and then your business suffers, right? So don't
and you
go
and you
fancy.
got a $600,000 company, and you're driving a Lamborghini or something.
Exactly. That's what we don't
Also,
do.
what does that say to the team? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
what
Yeah.
kind of
Exactly.
message does that send to the employees and the people in the field? It's a disaster.
It is.
I've heard it. And since you're so clear and concise about your advice, you know, to other owners and even people in the field, what are some key lessons that you've learned that you'd like to share with aspiring entrepreneurs or even technicians in the field in the trades industry? If you were to pick a couple of your most important ones.
I would say give 100% no matter what you do, no matter what you're doing. Even if you're sweeping floors, you know, be the best freaking floor sweeper out there. You
Right.
know, and never be on time, because on time is late. You know, you need to show up early. You need to show up
Yes.
early, like 15 minutes early, ready to go. But that does not apply if you have an appointment with a customer. You do not show up 15 minutes early to a customer's appointment. You
Right.
When it comes to stepping on the doorstep, you don't want to be there 7:45 when your appointment's at 8 o'clock. You need to be stepping on the doorstep at 7:59. You know what I'm saying? 8 o'clock
Perfect.
is late, but don't be there 15 minutes early because they haven't put their dog out yet. They're still getting their breakfast fed to their kids,
Yeah.
and you know what I'm
It's an
saying? I mean, like,
inconvenience.
Yeah.
Yes.
Showing up early is on time. Yeah.
yeah,
That's it.
and what I used to really preach to my people was put yourself in the customer's shoes, and I would always create
Mhm.
scenarios. You know, I'd always create scenarios of, you know, because that's just real life. You know, the single mother wakes up, you know, one morning, you know, and has to get her kid ready for school, and she finds out she has no hot water. Well, she's having a bad day. We need, you
Right.
know, and when you understand that, it helps you approach the call a lot differently, you know?
Yeah, because if they're distressed and it comes across as them being mean to the plumber or even the CSR, which I see all the time, and then when you talk to them, you realize that they're just having a bad day and it's just kind of reflecting that way. Um, that then they don't react to that and have a bad situation. They know how to have empathy, emotional intelligence throughout the appointment. That's absolutely perfect. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Empathy plays a big role. But yeah, I think this is great. Like great information, great advice from you. I think we can talk about fitness too. Really.
So we talk about anything, man.
Yeah. Just want to cover like I have seen your picture. You're a skinny guy. I think back in what 2015 or 16, maybe I think your wife posted that picture. You were very skinny, right?
Yeah, I was skinny like 2000, probably 14. I was right about the time I started working out.
Right. We want to know the transition from that skinny guy to this healthy, like, fit guy, what it takes to get there. Like, how we should prioritize, like, running business, family, being with family, how to take out time and stay fit. Like, how important is that?
Dude, it's so important, especially as we age. As I get older, you know, it's just I understand how much more important it is as I get older, man. But to even back up from being skinny, you know, I was actually a fat kid, man, and I was overweight
Wow.
uh, until I was like 27, and I was so freaking fat, man. I used to have to hold my pants together with my belt because I couldn't even button them, and I was in a 36-inch waist, and it was my uniform pants, you know, because being a plumber, and luckily we didn't tuck our shirts in back then, so you couldn't see I was holding my pants up with my belt, you know. But I was like, I wouldn't allow myself to go up to a 38 size waist. Because I knew that if I did that, then where's it end? You know,
Mm,
then I'd be in a,
Wow.
you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, let's
right.
get bigger pants and just keep eating all the bullshit. You know, it's like, no, let's figure out what the hell's going on and actually make these 36s fit. But what happened was I had lost so much weight, man. I had gotten all the way down to a 28-inch size pants, man. And
Wow.
I went from two like 215 pounds all the way down to like 145, and I had to actually like figure
Wow.
out how to stop losing weight. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
And I was about 28 probably or so at that point. But I maintained. I was just working out in my house doing push-ups and that sort of thing, um, until I got to about 33 years old, and then I started actually going to the gym. Actually, when I met my wife, because she was going to the gym, and I was like, well, I better keep myself up, or she'll leave. She'll leave my
Yeah.
right.
weak, frail little butt. You know.
No, that's
that's that's
amazing.
kind of how that unfolded, man. And I believe in just training for life. You know, train how the body moves through life. You know, heavy. You know, every day we squat and pick things up. Every day we push, we pull. You know, so I do everything is focused around a barbell movement that I do in the gym. It's either going to be a squat, a deadlift, an overhead press, or a bent over row. And that's going to be the movement that I spend 30 to 45 minutes on every single workout.
Amazing.
And every workout begins with one of those movements. And then sometimes I don't even do anything else. Sometimes all I do is barbell work, and that's it.
Right.
Sometimes I'll do some accessory stuff afterwards. But I lift heavy, low rep, and it just stresses the body in a way that you just can't do with dumbbells or machines.
Right. And I think I get inspired like all the time. And what do you think on the diet? Diet plays a big role. What do you think about the diet?
Oh, it's huge, man. I try my best to stay away from sugars and grains. So I eat very little bread. I mean, I had a hot dog last weekend, at a cookout that we had. It was the first time I had bread in probably 3 months,
Wow.
I don't eat any sugar, aside from like the occasional cocktail or whatever. And I just believe in eating like a caveman in a sense. Like, what did the caveman have available? Because let's be honest, people are sicker than they have ever been. People are more overweight than they've ever been.
Right.
People are, and there's a reason for that. Our food supply is garbage. Our food supply is garbage. You need to, or at least for me, I try to eat like a caveman would eat. What would a caveman have available?
What a
Meat,
Meat.
vegetables, like nuts and seeds, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I think I'm glad that you mentioned recently Shreya did something, I think carnivore diet, which was like amazing.
And that
I was
works too
impressed.
because think about it. People who live in the Arctic Circle, right? What do they have to eat? They're not growing vegetables on ice.
Right.
They eat meat. That's what they
You can
survive
get
off
most
of
of,
is meat.
you can get most
And
of pretty much all your nutrients and survive off of just
everything.
meat. Yeah.
Everything you need can be had off meat, because what happens is the body has all these mechanisms built in for survival. One of them is a process called glyconeogenesis, where protein is converted into glycogen. So, everyone says, oh, you got to have carbs, you got to have carbs. No, you don't. Your body will create carbohydrates when it needs them,
Oh,
Exactly.
wow. That's more
Yeah,
deep technical. Yeah.
it takes discipline though, like everything that you're talking about, everything that I do, with that and with the weightlifting, with the schedule, right? With building a business and all of that. How do you manage your time to prioritize those things? And what advice would you have for people that want to do that, which is everybody, but can't seem to manage their time, in a way that they can make that a priority?
Well, number one, you got to be driven. You got to be driven. Number two, I always beat the sun up. I beat the sun up, every single day. I wake up before 5 o'clock without an alarm clock every single day. Usually,
you said 4? 4?
No, 5.
Before
Usually,
5.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, before.
Usually 4:45, I'm up every single day.
Wow.
So I've already got a 3-hour jump on most people. They're rolling out of bed at 8, 9, 10 o'clock. But it just takes discipline. It takes having goals in life and knowing where you want to be and knowing where you want to go.
Yeah, want it enough and make more time for it is pretty much what it comes down to, right?
And that's the thing. There's plenty of time in the day, but the people who say they don't have time, okay, well, how much time you spend in binge watching Netflix and surfing Facebook and doing a bunch of BS that doesn't amount to anything?
Totally.
Yeah, totally. And last thing that I think I wanted to cover. I think you are speaking somewhere this year, right? You're going to the event and you're speaking, right?
I was going to, but actually I had a conflict arise, so unfortunately I had to back out of that. Unfortunately.
Got it. The reason I'm bringing is like a lot of people, they need help, and is it okay if we can put out your details? Like, what's the best way to reach out to you if anyone needs help when it comes to home service industry, like taking to the next level?
Yeah, Facebook. I'm on Facebook. That's the platform that I use.
We're gonna link in the description for everyone. But it was nice having you on our show. For the listeners, I hope you got a lot of value from Russell. And Shreya, you want to add something to close out?
I know I got a lot of value from that, and now I'm rescheduling my days and stuff like that. But yeah, it was so awesome talking to you, and there's just some really great advice on here that I can implement, and I know a lot of other people can as well. So thanks so much for taking the time out of your busy day to meet with us and share.
You're welcome. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Russell. See you everyone on the other side. Thanks.